Wonderful day today because we are on the program Date with Celebrities. Today I am your host Natalia Bronzova and our guest is Sir Raymond. He is the managing director of this very special book on all rulers of Malaysia. As we know, Malaysia is constitutional monarchy and it's very unique case in the history of the world. Sir Raymond, tell us about more.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Natalia for having me here on this very special show. Well, I'm interested in the Malaysia history, I think naturally because I'm a Malaysian. And I found out there's one very unusual scenario. Now, among my group of friends, okay, I've done this little survey. Okay, it's a very simple trick that I've done. And normally, if I take up some Malaysian notes, I talk to people, okay, my friends, especially in Malaysia, I say, okay, have you been using this money on a daily basis? Okay, a lot of them say, yeah, 10 out of 10, okay, we see our money, okay, on a daily basis. But when I flip open, I ask, this gentleman here, okay, can you call up his name?
Who's that? Tun.
Actually, you are very, very close. Okay, you have to give yourself a round of applause. Now, I talked to my Malaysian friends who are Malaysian. Okay, now 8 out of 10 have no idea who is this prominent figures that's on our Malaysian ringgit. And then it turns out to be you're very close. Yes. Okay. Tunku Abdul Rahman. Yes. You got it very right. The first Yang di-Pertuan Agong of Malaysia. It is a very simple trick. Okay, if you're in Malaysia, if you're using Malaysian ringgit, just pick it up. Okay, name this prominent figure. 8 out of 10 could not call up his name. True.
Ah, I know his name because I did one program in Martic at his whole name with his name.
Oh,
that's how I know.
That's very good. See, a lot of time we Malaysians doesn't know our history. Now, even though we study history, a lot of us, after we went into the exam hall and we come up forgotten about it. And it is very important for Malaysians, or proud Malaysians, to know our history as well.
Right, and for the foreigners as well to learn your great history. And tell us about special monarchy you have, like very special, because kings are selected for 5 years, right?
Yes, that's right. Okay. Well, and I have one very special opportunities to get to know Malay friends. Okay, in Malaysia, as we know, it's a multicultural country. We have Malay, we have Indian, we have Chinese, and then it's multicultural, just like
foreigners.
Oh yes, and foreigners, just like Canada. Okay,
right.
That's where I graduated from, and from my understanding, you have been staying in Canada.
Yes, I lived in Canada since 2000, so I have great experience with Canada as well.
Yeah, I spent 6 years of my life there studying and working. So, like Malaysia, it's a multicultural society. And I get to know one very important person. His name is Roslan Muhammad, and he is the editor of this special book.
Wow.
It's very heavy.
A special book on all rulers of Malaysia, right?
Yes, the name is Raja Berperlembagaan Malaysia. That means the monarchy of Malaysia, and Raja Melayu, Malay rulers, and also Yang di-Pertua Negeri Abad 21. That means the chief ministers of the states of the 21st century.
Wow.
Now this book is very thick, and then he has taken him about 4 years to compile.
Yeah, because he researched, as Sir Raymond told me, he researched on each kingdom, and actually in this book, all the nobles, all the orders of each kingdom, all the symbols, and of course all the pictures and all history. Can you imagine to put all that, like all history of Malaysia in one book? It's quite unique.
Yeah, I'm proud to be able to associate with this book. Now, this book is already published back in year 2014, the Malay versions. And my involvement in the book is the Chinese version. At the current moment, the Chinese version is already translated. However, what is lacking is the proofreading, the printing, as well as to get someone important to be the chairperson of the book. So we can do a lot of activities later on.
Right. Can we see something in it?
Yeah.
Just to open it, it was amazing for me.
I should wear my glove actually when I open this book. Now this is the national emblem of Malaysia. We call it Jata Malaysia. Now only the kings and the prime minister government can use this. And that's followed by
all the states.
All the states.
All the sultanates.
Yeah, the sultanate. I must say that out of the 13 states of Malaysia, okay, only 9 states have the ruler, and 4 states we have the chief minister, like Sabah, Sarawak, and Malacca and Penang. These are the states that doesn't have the monarchy. The rest of the 9 states we have monarchies. And Malaysia's monarchy, we follow the British Westminster system with their principle, and then also add in some federation principle in it. And that's why we have 9 monarchies. Each one would take them to be the king of Malaysia. It's actually an elective monarchy system. Now, okay, this is the editor, Roslan Muhammad, okay, and a lot of work has been put into it. And we already have.
This is the armory of which?
Yes, this is the emblem of each state. Okay, in order to compile this book, we have to have the blessing and also the supporting letter from every single palace.
Wow, it's even approved by each kingdom.
Yes.
Which is unique.
Yes, if they don't, we cannot put all the photos in there. So this is the current Yang di-Pertuan Agung of Malaysia. He's very, then the deputy is over here. Now, in order to use their photo and then their forwards and also some of the history, all these things, okay, this one is a lot of work.
And when you hold it, you just have feeling that you touch history of Malaysia.
Yes, and then all this will be translated in Chinese. That is the next version. Of course, the English version is also coming up soon. Okay, now why I'm involving in this? Because this year 2021, this book, okay, it's already been selected as one of the best book in Malaysia, and we are going to promote the Chinese version in Beijing, China. And hopefully, if the pandemic is getting better, we will fly over to Beijing.
Wow, I wish it would happen, and I wish you all good luck. And I would like to know more on that book, of course, because it's, as I saw before, it's I was impressed by all the medals and all the, how you name them, the honor titles.
Oh yes,
which kingdoms give.
It's
there. Okay, you cannot even imagine how much information there. Unbelievable.
This book is not just an ordinary book. Okay, this one is considered as a reference book where we can read all the history of each monarchy and also the artifacts that they have in the palace, like this one. These are some of the artifacts that they have. What is the meaning of the emblem? And then the metals. Okay, which metals? Okay, is for which title? Let's say Dato Seri. So these are some of the metal. Which one goes where? And these are all very important.
Wow.
And for the first time, ever since the independence of Malaysia, Malaysia has been independent for 63 years. Since 1957, no one has put together the information of all the monarchies family in one book.
Yeah, so this is the first one, actually.
And this is the first time it appears on your show.
Yeah, we are very excited about it. That's
The
right.
first one. Okay, no one has ever done this before. So this is the first one. Now, let alone the Chinese version is going to be the first Chinese version that have the complete history of all the monarchy family in one book. Not even the government bodies or organization have done that. No other private organization has done that. And this is our project, the first one.
Wow.
That's I'm proud of this.
I'm very proud to know you. And is it book already in the National Library?
Well, the first version is distributed to some palace, and then where we're going to distribute is this book, and because of its educational value.
Yes, of course.
We have to teach the Malaysian citizens the history of our monarchy. So this book will be distributed in number one, all public libraries of Malaysia, all the institution, colleges, university, primary school, secondary school.
Will it be studied at school?
Yes, it will be distributed, started at school. And for the Chinese version, we plan to print about 4,000 copies. So and then hopefully every single Chinese school in Malaysia, they will receive 2 copies.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
And of course, this book is
Amazing.
distributed in the Parliament of Malaysia,
Wow.
and all ministers' office should have one.
Do you know if King will give it to the leaders of other states, foreigners, or the Prime Minister?
I think I would say yes. And hopefully that down the road we can have an English version which we can distribute to all the embassies and high com of Malaysia.
Now it is in Malay, right?
Yes, right now it's in Malay.
Okay.
To make it have an international presence, we need to have it in English as well. That is down the road, in our pipeline already, because the Malay version is already there. The Chinese version is getting ready for this year's exhibition in Beijing, China, and the English version will be coming up next.
Wow.
So with the English version, we can distribute that internationally. So right now it's just Malaysia. Step 2 is to China, and English version internationally.
Wow. I would like to know more about how this book was made. How long it took to make it?
Well, this one, it's come from the version of vision of one person. Okay, I think he liked history a lot. The editor, Mr. Mensa.
Yes.
Okay, and he came up with this idea of because since no one has done this before, so he painstakingly visited every single palace.
It took time, I suppose. Right?
Yes, yes. Because as an ordinary person, he doesn't have any political background. He is not a corporate heavyweight in a public listed company. So it's all by himself because of his passion. He was from the tourism industry, and then he visited every single one of the states, talked to the people from the palace. Of course, it's actually a blessing that he get all the support.
If each ruler saw him, talk to him personally, or
the people that are in charge of the palace, and some of them that will be the rulers himself, and eventually all of them give him the support because he was the first one in Malaysia that gathered all the information about Malaysia's ruler, in one book.
That's a great question. Actually, the book of his life, I would say.
I would say yes, the book of his life. Because Malaysia, we have 5 principles. The first one is kepercayaan kepada Tuhan. In God we trust. The second one is kesetiaan kepada raja dan negara. We have to be loyal to our kings as well as the country. Now, a lot of people knows how to recite this. But in order to be loyal to your countries and the king, you have to know the king.
Right.
But a lot of us doesn't know. And even as simple as who is this significant person on our money, on our ringgit, a lot of people doesn't know. So let alone a more complex system.
The first king of Malaysia, Tunku Abdul Rahman.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And he was in 1957, right?
Yes, you're right. 1957, August the 3rd. Yes. Yeah, that was the first Batuan Agung of Malaysia.
Do you have any idea how it actually was born, that special constitutional monarchy when each ruler changed in 5 years?
Yes, okay. Well, because Malaysia's monarchy system, is a elective elective monarchy system.
I mean, how it comes to that?
How it comes to that, I think because Malaysia has 9 rulers, they have come to the agreement that, okay, one of them will be the king, okay, in charge of all the religions and also the affair of the Malay people of Malaysia. So they take turns to become the king, the elect.
That's very unique, very unique.
Yeah, it's a very unique system that we have in Malaysia.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So this book took about 4 or 5 years to.
It took about 4 years to compile all the information together. But of course, when there's a change in the chief minister, for example, recently the Malacca chief minister had just changed, so we have to update the information in there. This one is the 2nd edition. There will be a 3rd one or 4th one, as and when the young people change them. Yes.
Ongoing process, so it will be a life book.
Yes.
So it will get updated every 5 years, I suppose.
Yes, it will be updated every 5 years.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how does this book change your life?
Well, it is very important for anyone to know the history, because history is actually very valuable for us. Okay, if you know the history, then you know how to move forward looking into the forward. And also knowing the history brings people together. Now, because Malaysia is a multicultural society, we cannot live with our own community. Let's say the Chinese, if you just understand the Chinese history and stick together, then you couldn't appreciate the other races. We have to go beyond that. So this book, why the Chinese version? Because we also want the Chinese people of Malaysia to understand more about the Malay culture and how these 2 different cultures, they interact with one another. The Chinese has arrived to this land, to Tanah Melayu, okay, in different ways. In the very beginning, actually through from the Han dynasty, actually the Chinese already arrived to this piece of land, to the peninsula. And in the Ming dynasty, Emperor Cheng Ho already came to Malacca to visit the first Sultan of Malacca. And then we already have, in terms of tradings and things like that, and also intermarriage between the Malay and the Chinese. So all this happens back then. Now in Malacca, we have this Peranakan, which is a mix between the Chinese and Malay, and that's Peranakan that give birth to a very unique culture in Malaysia.
Right.
So they speak Malay, but then they dress up, and then they dress up like Chinese, and the food and everything is Chinese. It's a great mix.
And they have great art, also great handicraft. I learned about actually.
Yes. So Peranakan, so we call them Baba and Nyonya. Yeah, Baba and Nyonya is truly multicultural. So we have to know that. And knowing all this history and knowing each other's history also help to ease any racial tension.
Right.
I think that's very important in multiculturalism. We cannot have racism and things like that. Knowing each other culture actually helps a lot.
Right, that's true.
And we also have to know that Malay culture, especially some of the languages, are influenced by Sanskrit from India. For example, Raja.
Yeah, or Surya. Surya can also see that Sanskrit also, right?
Raja, Negara, all these are Sanskrit. So over here, we already have some derived from the ancient Sanskrit, which is an ancient Indian language. Surya, that's right. Samudra, Angkasa, all these
and
are.
Sanskrit also very close to ancient Russian. Very.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have the same roots, you know. That's why I love history also, and I learn Russian history and European history, of course. Now I'm learning Malaysian history because I'm here in Malaysia.
Oh, thank you very much.
And that is why it's unique. So,
the Malay history, other than in Malaysia, actually goes beyond that. It covers the entire Malay archipelago, or in Malay we call it Nusantara. Nusantara, the area consists of not just the Peninsular Malaysia, but also Singapore, Indonesia. In the old days, they are, of course, the Sultanate of Malacca. In Singapore, they will call it the Sultanate of Johor, Singapore, Riau Lingga. Yes. And of course, the Borneo, southern part of the Philippines, the Papua New Guineas, all these are considered as part of the Malay archipelago. Now, the language itself also, there are some similarity between the Malay language and the Philippine language.
Yes, I
some,
can tell that.
Some vocabulary, they share the same one. And also, even all the way to Taiwan and Okinawa of Japan.
Really, up to that?
Yes, up to Okinawa. There's one very famous, the Japanese Okinawan song. I don't know how to sing Japanese, but this chorus, Okinawa chorus, I think even the Japanese don't understand. And probably some Okinawan don't understand. It sounds like this. Matahari no.
Matahari, we will understand.
Yes,
right?
Matahari no. Chintara. Chintara kamu sama yo. So to the Japanese, they don't understand. I think to the Okinawan, probably they know or they don't know. But when you speak that in Malay, the meaning is clear. That is Mataharimu Chintara Kamu Samayo. That means the sun or your son will love you and me the same, equally.
I see. Wow.
So that is a Okinawan folk song. It's very famous.
Impressive, truly impressive.
Yeah. So how does the Malay language reach all the way to Japan, Okinawa? Because the Malay archipelago is actually very huge. And Bahasa Malaysia in Indonesia is called the Bahasa Indonesia. It's actually the 5th largest widely spoken language in the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the first language is probably English.
Yeah.
English, probably Chinese. The 5th is actually Bahasa.
Wow.
Yes.
Not
That made us, I'm so sorry about that. That made us find that the Malay history is fascinating.
Fascinating, yeah. That's why.
It's actually the cultural, this inter-exchange, and then the interlink, the intellect. Yes, interact the culture from one another. It's really, really interesting.
The name is fusion.
The fusion, actually a lot of things is the fusion.
Yes. Like when I study Malay culture, I promote kebaya in Malaysia to the foreigner communities.
Yes.
And myself, I had to order a few kebayas, and some of them were kebaya mixed with sari. So.
Yes, that's true.
That's why.
So there are some Indian cultures and the Malay cultures mixed together.
Right.
Yes.
I did many things. That's how I learned. That's how we learn culture from real life. You implement it to the real life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So when we understand the cultures, that will make the understanding between races better. The harmony will be there. And that is the one thing that changed my life.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond.
Thank you very much, Natalia, for having me. Yes, thank you very much. Terima kasih, as I say it in Bahasa. How about Russian?
Look at that.
Okay.
Look at that.
Thank you very much.